So we can begin by getting comfortable as possible. So whether we're sitting on a cushion or sitting in the chair, just finding this grounding through our sitting bones. We can feel that the weight of this body sitting and being supported by the ground, by the chair. And check our back to see if we can have it as straight as possible. And that's probably for a few reasons, but one is that we don't fall asleep, so we're kind of up, awake, and alert. And the other is that it allows the wind channels to be free or not as obstructed, so not as bent. Should be as straight as possible all the way through the top of our head, the crown of our head, which actually tilts the head slightly forward, and our chin is tucked in. We can have our eyes slightly open or gently closed, just allowing a little light to come in. Relaxing our facial muscles. Releasing any tension in our neck or our shoulders. And our arms are just gently hanging to the side of our body. And we can bring our hands together with our right on top of the left with our thumbs touching. And so we bring our awareness to our breath. The slow inhale and the exhale. And we just observe the breath for a moment. This expansion and the contraction of our body, of our torso, of our stomach. think about our motivation for this meditation. What do I want to get out of it? Why am I here? We can bring to mind our bodhicitta motivation. So we're meditating, we're developing our minds to become free of samsara, to become enlightened beings, to become Buddhas. And not just for the sake of Buddhahood, but for the sake of all sentient beings, all humans, all animals, insects, every living organism that is possessing a mind, that's experiencing suffering right now. So we hold this aspiration that when we're free of our delusions and are enlightened, that we can help guide all of those sentient beings to the freedom of suffering as well. So that's why we're here. So the last few sessions, we've been analyzing and contemplating the topic of death. And now we're going to start looking at the different realms, or the hell realms. And this is intended to be inspiring. It's not intended to be depressing. To inspire us to lead a good life, to create good karma, so that we don't end up in the hell realms, but also have an appreciation for all the beings that are suffering in these hell realms, to increase our compassion. So if we don't prepare for our death by practicing Dharma, then most likely we're going to end up in these hell realms, be reborn there. And for Buddhists or Buddhists of the East, not a lot of explanation is needed for this. It's kind of, it comes in their culture. But for Westerners, I think we all come from different backgrounds, and we need to set the basis a bit. Because we have doubt. And we have perhaps little trust in the Dharma. And we're skeptical. And it's probably because we can't see it, right? We can't see these hell realms. So we can contemplate, or we can listen and say, okay, yeah, there's the hot hells. And they're like hotter than the hottest deserts in the in Africa. Or there's these cold hells, and they're colder than the Arctic. But we still kind of hold this doubt. Maybe that's true, maybe not. Because we can't locate them exactly. Where are they? I can't see them. I can't touch them. But we might be able to understand the existence of the hells by considering their causes. So our actions of mind, those determine our actions of speech in the body. And they can cause us to experience physical and mental suffering. But they can also allow us to have physical and mental happiness. So, on the positive side, if we develop our mind through the practice of the Dharma, then it can get better and better. And then one can become born as a human or a god. And with this, we can become completely free of samsara, right? We can become an arhat. So, developing the mind to this total perfection, one can realize complete Buddhahood. But on the other hand, this mind can also become more habituated into negativity. And this is a degeneration of the mind. And theoretically, it can degenerate without limit. And it seems to be quite easy, this degeneration. And we do know from experience that developing the mind in a positive manner, it takes a lot of effort. So we have all these thoughts that are coming up all the time. And most of them are rather negative. And these thoughts, they leave behind this trace or an imprint on the mind. And these imprints, they kind of remain latent, kind of like sleeping until that mind meets certain conditions and activates these traces or imprints. And then they can ripen. And then depending on their type, they can ripen in the form of a mind, a thought, a body, a physical sensation. Um, they can even ripen and create one's environment, right? We kind of have all these different possibilities, these types of ripening. And that ripening is going to cause a pleasurable or an unpleasurable experience. So the law says that every suffering that one experiences, it's a result of the ripening of a negative karmic imprint. So the worlds that we find ourselves in, no matter which world we're in at the moment, they're not separate from us, but they actually arise from these from our own mental imprints. And I can just read this short passage from Shantideva. And it says, by whom were they zealously forged, the weapons of the hells? Who made the burning iron ground? Whence did those conflagrations come? And then Shantideva answers himself and he says, the sage has taught that everything like that is from evil mind. There is nothing to be feared in the three realms apart from the mind. So I think what is being said here is that when we're born in the hell realms, our aggregates, our body and mind, um, they're hmm, they're in this hell being um, as a result of this karmic ripening, as a result of the evil action that we've done in the past. So you can imagine that being born in a hell realm, right? And then you can see around you this this red hot iron ground, as he says. Um, there might be mountains surrounding you. There's fire. There are guardians. There's weapons. There's machines of torture, and all of these things. These are the imprints of our mind, and they're just ripening at that moment. So it seems that all these appearances and experiences that we're undergoing in the hell, they are illusory. So it seems mm, like in this current world we're in, if we commit a crime, we're arrested by the police or we're put into jail. Um, and we're put into, yeah, the jail, the prison. Um, and it only appears to be real. As we experience this suffering created by our own karma. The different types of mental imprints, they can not only generate the appearance of corresponding surroundings, but block the perception of incompatible ones. So if we take an example, if one is born as a preda who must experience great thirst, then even if one was just sitting right next to a lake, or yeah, I guess a lake, the ocean doesn't really work, then um, being in this preda realm, one's active set of imprints would prevent one from even seeing a small drop of water, despite being right next to the lake. Or if a hell being were in this room, in our Zoom room, this being would be unable to see it because the mind would be completely taken up by um, its own experience of suffering, being completely blinded by the suffering. There's no awakening. So our own mind, right? And we stop talking about others, but we talk about ourselves. We have many imprints. In fact, we have many evil uh, thoughts and actions. So if we don't purify those by confession or purification practices, then they're certainly going to ripen, right? They'll ripen in some future existence. And they're going to go on and on and on, ripening until the power is exhausted. So they do have an end, and they can be prevented or reduced. Because through this confession or purification practice, if it's sincere, then we can render these evil thoughts and imprints completely powerless. And if they're powerless, they can't produce the suffering result. So to avoid meeting a hell existence, we have to practice purification. And practice purification right now. So there's kind of two things we have to do, right? Practice purification right now for all those negative imprints that we've created and placed on our mind stream. And then we have to be very attentive and careful to not add any more negative imprints. So we're kind of like purifying and cleaning up all of our past garbage. And then we're being very attentive with all of our actions and our intentions to not creating any new garbage. And then we're safe. Very simple. But hard to put into action. Can dedicate all the merit that we generated during this meditation, contemplating suffering in the hell realms. And we can dedicate it to all of those humans, non-humans, insects that are suffering. And may they not suffer. And dedicate in particular that our dear Mommy Max does not suffer as she transitions from this human existence to the next existence. And we keep her in our thoughts. And we're all grateful that we met her inadvertently or directly, because I don't think we would be in the Zoom room together if it wasn't for Mommy Max. Thank you.